advancement, and advancement in South African higher education institutions, particularly, of course, globally as well, refers to, the ways in which a university pulls together resources in order to seek more resources through foundations, through third stream income, what is also referred to as fourth stream income nowadays, through partnerships, with the private sector, through alumni relations, and various other things. And in those universities that are better resourced, there is the possibility of, in fact, pulling all of this under one umbrella that is referred to as advancement. However, we have found in certain contexts in South African universities and African universities that the context plays such a big role that one can't, in fact, use that umbrella that covers all the pillars of advancement. So I'm referring here to Mangosuthu University of Technology, which was under the previous apartheid dispensation considered to be disadvantaged. It has 3 faculties: health and applied sciences, engineering, and management sciences. It has about 14,000 students. All are financially needy. It is the only university named after its founder, Mangosuthu Buthelezi, and located in a township, again, an apartheid construct. And the township is Mlazi. So historically, there's been no structured approach to advancement or internationalization or partnerships, etc., at MUT, as I will say. But since 2022, we decided that this has to change and that, the structure needs to be built. But there are challenges, and there's, I'm showing you a picture of the university there. It looks very modern and it has most facilities. However, my argument in terms of trying to implement advancement initiatives since 2022 is, in fact, that one needs to take into account several things, including resource distribution and the context of African higher education. And as you can see, the challenges are indeed that, there is limited funding. Ultimately, there are many constraints that prevent, sustainability and innovation in this context. Then, as much as we have the influence of Ubuntu, and we try and share this, I am because you are, the community support, the fact that an entire village and family and community is needed for development. Unfortunately, we find that we don't always succeed, but it is something that plays a big role. This does shape collaborative engagement and fundraising strategies. We have seen the need to diversify income streams and to balance excellence and visibility. In other words, we might aim for excellence, but our brand itself might become an issue with regard to how we achieve the goals that we want to achieve. So the theoretical framework here, which I won't spend too much of time on because we can refer to it, Salenchik and Pfeffer, resource dependence theory. And what we really see here is that it applies really fittingly to MUT. The core concept is that organizations rely on external resources for funding and partnerships, etc., in this context for sustainability. There are challenges in African universities with the internal revenue being so limited, with state subsidy being so limited, and therefore increased dependency on these external resources. And yet it is far more difficult to attain these or access these. So it requires, strategic dependency management, and we have to consider in particular cultural and theoretical integration. So leveraging Ubuntu and this resource distribution and dependence helps us develop what we think of as context-sensitive approaches in order to meet our institutional goals. So I'm going to just move over to the 3 projects that we considered here as being innovative at MUT. And the reason this is interesting is because the structure itself for resource generation has been under-resourced. And so we have literally put together a team of people who, are drawn from various different quarters and who then have started to plunge into this process. Now, don't get me wrong, all other 25 institutions in South Africa do have foundations or, alumni relations departments, etc. some of the better resourced ones have advancements units and are much better resourced internally. Now, in our case, there was nothing. There is a team of 5 at the moment. And in fact, we are struggling to populate that team in order to deliver our outcomes. But there are 3 projects that seem to be bringing some hope. And these are student giving, alumni engagement, and the short course project. So when it comes to student giving, we've decided that we must engage students and volunteers on the campus as agents of change, because it's not just about fundraising. It is Ubuntu, living and breathing. It's a movement where students contribute, yes, some money, time, skills, creativity, advocacy, etc., in order to assist their peers and to transform their community. So it's a call to students who are there to give. Now, the reason this becomes important is that historically it's been felt that, well, our students are so financially needy themselves, they cannot give. But that is a bit of a misconception, and it depends on the nature of giving. So we also have the alumni engagement project. And whereas historically, that is our biggest constituency, it's about 45,000. Historically, it was thought that, again, alumni are not succeeding at finding jobs. They are out there looking themselves for support. How can they support students at the university for sustainability? However, we found that some industry partners, like the SETAs, which is Sector Education and Training Authorities, as well as others, corporates, are assisting. And we've strategically redirected the alumni plan in order to come up with 10 different projects that have to do with an alumni hub. It has to do with engineering students, bursary support, postgraduate support, etc. So there are 10 projects there, and we call it the 10 by 10 project. The last one is what we call enterprise development, which is literally short courses. And again, we don't often see these in this context. It is something that is separate at an institution, running external short courses for business, for example. But we have an entire range that we managed to put together professionally, that we've had reviews done with. So we know that what we are offering is what the community needs. And these range from, writing up a business plan to filmmaking to artificial reproductive techniques for agriculture, where we're trying to find our niche areas there and to offer that to the community. Of course, there are barriers: limited awareness of advancement, dominant Western traditions, economic constraints, how we build brand, project management, inconsistent approaches internally even to advancement. But we also find that these present creative ways of doing and giving, and that in fact we are trying to understand and build in the traditional side, the practices in the community. We are trying to build credibility in the community, not just locally and regionally, but nationally and beyond. We're looking at what are the culturally sensitive strategies for doing this. South Africa is rich with history and culture. It's a vibrant nation. We need to be flexible and inclusive in the approach that we take, therefore. And of course, the implications for African higher education is that we do have to have diverse strategies. These initiatives prove that income diversification is possible. Ubuntu and inclusive engagement is essential. We must be context sensitive, and we must go for quality, not quantity. So, in fact, we've realized that these gifts that we do have, we range from extremely, swish events, such as the one that you see in the last picture, Pledges That Build, where we bring in various sectors of the community, of the Zulu heritage, the traditional leadership, and we not only acknowledge them, but we ask, we share. We say, these are what our needs. And fortunately, we think that this is going in the right direction. I will stop there, Chair. Thank you very much from Mangosuthu University of Technology. And if there are any questions, I'm available. Thank you.